am I right in saying some ads just aren't worth running? What should I prioritise? How can I optimise Google Performance Max campaigns? How little can I put as my budget for Google AdWords for a very small company and still be effective? I'm Abby, and I'm going to be taking you across some of the most asked questions on the web. Let's go to Reddit. Hi guys, am I right in saying some ads just aren't worth running? It is a question that we get a lot. Are Google ads right for me? Do my products even sell on Google? To be honest, not every single product is going to be suitable for Google ads. When it comes to individual ads, so this user, for example, is specifically talking about keywords that aren't getting impressions. If your keywords aren't getting impressions, if there's not a lot of search volume for those search terms, Google does usually flag it up as a warning, so you'll know if there's just not a high search volume for the keywords that you're currently targeting. If Google's not saying that there's low search volume for those search terms, then there may be an issue with your bids, your campaign format, maybe your targeting, like what times of day are you targeting, what locations are you targeting. There's loads of different factors that boil down to why your ads might not actually be generating any traffic. But unless Google is explicitly saying that there's low traffic volume, the likelihood is there's other changes that you can make in the account in order to improve performance. Until you're getting data through, it's probably not safe to judge whether or not your business is right for Google Ads, or rather Google Ads is right for your business, because you need the data to make that decision. Hello, I've linked Google Ads to GA4. I have GTM conversions set up for Google Ads. In Google Ads, all reports are showing fine. I have conversion value, costs, etc. But in GA4 ads, the reports, revenue and return on ad spend is 0. GA4 only really been fully running and sort of set to the primary metric for a lot of users since the beginning of July this year. So there are still, I would say, a couple of teething issues with GA4. If Google Ads is tracking all of that data fine, your conversion value, costs are all showing in Google Ads, but they're not showing in GA4, it sounds as though there's a bit of a linking issue. It may be that GA4 is set up correctly on your website, and that's why you're able to see like user data and things like that. But if you're not able to see return on ad spend, is your Google Ads spend actually pulling through to GA4? Potentially not. I would query why you're seeing revenue in GA4 versus Google Ads, because Google Ads does get revenue from GA4. So potentially, have you got like multiple GA4 accounts set up? Is there one that is tracking revenue that's linked to ads, whereas this other one isn't? But really, you should be seeing revenue in GA4, and that's how it gets through to Google Ads. You could have potentially maybe set up like a conversion metric and added your own revenue value to it within Google Ads, and that's why you're seeing revenue. So there's lots of different reasons why what's happening might be happening. And not going to lie, it is difficult without seeing the account, but I would just double check that it's the correct GA4 account that's linked up, that there's not another one you've got that's showing revenue, and double check the conversion actions that are tracking revenue in Google Ads. Are they actually the purchase goal, or are they other goals that just have revenue associated with them? And that might be why it's not tracking back to Google Analytics. I'm undergoing a Google Ads campaign for my dad's company. What should I prioritise? Great question, but it really depends on what your goals for the ads account actually are. In this example, it does look as though it is potentially a lead generation client. You need to figure out, is your priority to generate calls, emails, contact form submissions from this ads campaign? If so, what you really need to be doing, or what you should do, is get those actions set up as conversion goals within GA4, and then you can track them back to whether or not they're coming from your Google Ads campaign, how much is it costing you to generate that lead, or alternatively, are they coming from different channel sources like direct or organic? If it's the case that leads aren't your goal, and you are just wanting to make sales through the Google Ads account, I would just say you really need to get purchase goals set up so that you can actually see exactly how much revenue you're making from each channel source. And again, you can then decide sort of how profitable it is, where you want to focus your budget, and things like that. I run a search ad in the US with a daily budget of $100. How can I allocate different budgets in different regions? So again, another really good question. So this user is highlighting the fact that at the moment, they're only able to adjust bids within certain regions, as opposed to allocating specific budgets to each region. So, for example, $5 per day to Alaska, $20 per day to California. Essentially, within the same campaign, you can't allocate a set budget to each region. If you're targeting all US states, then your daily budget will be split between all of those states. And Google will essentially spend the bulk of your budget where the bulk of the search volume is for whatever search terms you've employed within the campaign. If you are wanting to have, like we said in the example, you are just wanting to spend $5 per day on Alaska, you will need to set up a separate campaign, exclude all other states, and then just have Alaska in there in order for you to spend that $5. Otherwise, if they're all grouped into the same campaign, you'll just have to make bid adjustments up or down depending on how much you're wanting to spend, or exclude certain states that you're just not wanting to target at all. Yeah, and that carries on for sort of every country. It's not just sort of US specific. Let's go for some questions that we've had on Quora. How can I optimize Google Performance Max campaigns? Brilliant question, because so many people think that you can't optimize a Performance Max campaign because it is essentially like a fully automated campaign. There's actually loads that you can do to help improve the performance. You've got your basics like your creative assets. So for example, say your engagement via your assets isn't particularly good. You can obviously update all of those. There's ongoing changes that you can make to audience targeting. You do also get insight information, so search terms that are converting well, and Google does actually give you quite a big breakdown of those different broad match terms and will let you know exactly how much revenue is being generated by a certain search term, and you can then use these and put them back into some of your different sort of custom audiences that you may have set up, and it can just help to improve performance, and it just really helps narrow the targeting down to exactly where you want to hit it. Get sales, whatever. What are the differences between Google and Amazon for e-commerce businesses? Not gonna lie, I'm not an expert on Amazon. I don't really know. But two of my colleagues, Meg and Mike, did do a really nice comparison video between Google and Amazon, which again, you can watch up here if you would like to. Personally for me, Google all the way. How little can I put as my budget for Google AdWords for a very small company and still be effective? We would say here at Ad People that we wouldn't recommend having a budget below £500, ideally when you first start out. We do see some really successful and some really positive results from campaigns that just have a £500 per month spend. They can be really effective. You can trial lower, however, I would say to begin with, make that investment of the £500 because you want to get that data through, because ultimately the data is going to be the most valuable thing for you. Even if you don't, in the first month that you're running ads, you don't actually make any sales, the data and essentially the learnings that you've got from that are going to be so vital for future performance and for you making sales in the future that £500 isn't really wasted. You are going to learn a lot from it. Let's have a look at some questions we found on Facebook. Should I use standard remarketing or dynamic remarketing? It basically depends on what kind of campaign you're running. If you're an e-commerce business and you're running shopping campaigns, then I would say that dynamic remarketing is probably going to be better for you, because the products that people have added to basket or they've been looking at on your website are going to be remarketed back to them, and from that you're more likely to then sort of generate a sale. However, if you're a lead gen business, you don't have that access to dynamic remarketing, or if you don't sell products and don't have a shopping feed, don't have a GMC account, you're not going to have access to the dynamic remarketing, and so in that instance standard remarketing is going to be better for you, and yeah, just remarketing generally to people who've been on the website or certain pages. Are retargeting ads worth it? In my opinion, I think retargeting ads are worth it. I just wouldn't necessarily expect to get like masses of sales through your retargeting ads. I think that's sometimes where people think that they're not working exactly as you would like them to work. Dynamic remarketing is great for generating more sales, but just general retargeting ads You are trying to still engage with that user and still get your brand visibility out there, but I just wouldn't say that you're always going to see masses and masses of sales initially through them. How do I optimize my Google ads? There's loads of different things that you can do to optimize your Google ads account. You can look at your feed quality. You can look at what search terms you're targeting, areas that you're targeting, device bid adjustments, ad schedule, what conversion actions you're trying to target. Loads of different things. It would be a whole video series in and of itself. But what I would say is when you are looking to optimize your Google Ads campaign, the most important thing is that when you are making a change, you're not just making like hundreds of changes in the account every single day, because you're not going to learn anything from that. What you need to do is make a change based on some of the data you've received, leave the ads campaign for a short while. I mean, depending on how much traffic you're getting, a couple of days, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, depending on your budget and exactly how much traffic you're getting. And then review the impact that those changes you made in the account had on your traffic volume, on your search impression share, on your click-through rate, and again, on how many conversions you're getting. Because again, you can make so many different changes in Google Ads, but there's no point making loads and loads of changes unless they're having a positive impact. But you need to assess the data in order to judge that. Thanks for watching. Any questions that you do have, leave them in the comments box below. These can be about general digital marketing strategy or your e-commerce business in particular. We'll get back to you either in the comments or you might be featured in our next video.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. No, don't do the gun fingers.
That was great.
Don't.